to the Starry-eyed podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Jen. On this show, we chat about all things Williams syndrome,
The ups and downs and what it's like living with
and being a parent to someone with
Williams syndrome.
We're excited to share our community with you. Thanks for being here.
From camp, Joel. And
I did. And it was another great week. And it was really awesome to have Josh Dean come on. It was a ding dang shame you couldn't make it. Obviously, you had some things going on, Jen, but because I what I didn't know is Josh is originally from Colorado.
Yeah. I do remember him telling me that.
He's great. I really, the three of us had a really fun time. He's got some really great things to say about the importance of camp and the
opportunity
and what community is for people getting together with people with Williams syndrome. When everyone's together. So that was really super fun. Glad that he could come on.
And then we had camp director Emma. That's what I call her. When she calls me, I ask her to introduce herself by that name because she's worked so dang hard and she has earned that title. So I'm extremely proud of her. But she oversees Whispering Trails. It's a therapeutic camp, right? Ages 6 to 12, as well as teen camp, which is 13 to, did she tell us 21? I'm going to forget.
I think it's more like 18, but I think it all depends on that. That ending number is sort of depends on the individual.
Yeah.
I think.
But a lot of questions about camp, right, come up. I hear it a lot in our community. Like, is my person ready for camp? And I think Emma did a great job of hopefully setting everybody's minds at ease that Williams syndrome camp is indeed for anybody who has Williams syndrome. She has a master's in special education and curriculum. She works a lot with behaviors in her real job that pays her real dollars outside of this job. And, it's like, for me, I have a spicy person who can, be volatile at times. And I tell you, every time we go to camp, like I just over the years, like I know that Emma has seen it all and done it all. And like, there is nothing that she and her team of very qualified counselors cannot handle. So camp is a fun experience. Did you get to talk about camp, Joel? Because last year was your first year with Bennett. Right.
Yeah. That last year was our first time. Much like our trips to convention and stuff, I usually, I used to always be working in the summer, so we just never could take advantage of any of the summer programming. And camp was awesome. I really, it was great to see Bennett sort of flourish, just do some things outside of his comfort zone and really push himself. And I really, I'm really looking forward to him getting a chance to do teen camp and even have more independence.
Right. Totally true. It's the perfect environment to do it with people. A community of people who know and understand and are ready to support Williams syndrome. Yeah, so registration, that's going to happen any hot second now. So Joel's going to include some information in the notes about this episode.
You know what? I probably will even put it right here.
Awesome.
And
there are available for those who might need financial support. So if that is a barrier to going to camp, make sure you access the scholarship information. And then we want to make sure that everybody has Emma's contact information. If you have a question or specific need for your kiddo and their experiences, no question is too big or too small. Feel free to ask. Camp is an important part of Williams syndrome experience. And if you have the opportunity to go, highly encourage it.
Summer camp at williams-syndrome.org. All right. Well, let's just jump in and let's get to it.
Let's go.
Yes,
you guys are awesome.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Hello, Josh. How are you?
Doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing well. For those that don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you and, what you do in the WS community.
Okay, I am Joshua Dean. I live in a small town called Willow Spring, North Carolina. It's unincorporated, so we don't have any government. We don't have any officials out here. We all take care of ourselves out here. I work currently, still working at the YMCA in Apex, North Carolina. I am CPR, first aid, and oxygen certified through the YMCA. My job at the front desk is to check people in, do security, make sure the parking lot's okay, making sure I don't see things that need to be looked at. Making sure the kids are in the right areas. Anything to do with the YMCA, I've done. What I like to do for fun is I love to sing in church. Love my church. Been there 19 years. Love singing in the choir there. I love going on mission trips. I love to go to movies, go to dances, go to concerts. One of my favorite concerts to go, well, not every year, but whenever I do get to go, is singing at the Opry.
That's a fun one. That is a fun one.
It's a lot of fun, and I always look back to when they sang music from the heart, and seeing all those people who have gone before us is always inspiring, especially when they come back to camp.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who started it, and to see alumni come back is always amazing. And a little history about myself. I grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado, in the mountains of the Rocky Mountains. My mom was at the Air Force Academy. She was part of the Air Force, so she was there for a while, and then we moved quite a bit. And I just love life. I'm very blessed and thankful for the life I have. Thankful for my support system. Thankful for friends like Joel and Brandon and all those rest of those who continue to support people like me. And I'm just very happy and grateful.
We're grateful for you too, bud. Yeah, as an alumnus from the Grand Ole Opry camp, thank you. It's always nice to hear, how much people love that camp. And it's been quite a few years for me, but I definitely want to try and go back when I can.
Definitely can't. You definitely should, because it is like from back in 2014 was my first year going. And the whole schedule and the whole different places is all newer this year.
Yeah.
We actually got to go to the ACM Lifting Lives offices in Nashville, and they had a special guest artist, and we got to have a pizza party with everybody. And
very cool.
Usually at camp, they're not really talkative that much. If you per se, they're not always there for you. But this past year in Nashville, man, they're with you all the time. Is there anything that the Association of Nashville can do for y'all?
That's great. For people who don't know what we're what camp that these guys are talking about, it's the ACM Lifting Lives Camp, and it's for adults with Williams syndrome at Vanderbilt University.
Vanderbilt, love that place.
But also the research side of the camp is really important too. Big shout out to Elizabeth Ruth and Dr.
And Haley Hopkins,
all the crew over there. Miss and love you guys. But the research part of it is really important too.
Yeah, the Vanderbilt Kennedy Center. Guys, give a big shout out to them, because if it wasn't for them and Miss Elizabeth and Miss Dykins and Dr. Dykins and all them, we wouldn't ever had that opportunity like we have.
Big facts.
And to those who don't know, it's not guaranteed that you get accepted in like other camps. You have to go. It's a lottery drawing, which we mean is your name is in a system. It gets regenerated, and those generated names are those who go.
Yeah. There's a limited number of spots, and obviously a lot of people who want to go to this camp every year.
It's a hot commodity for sure.
It is.
Super.
Now, even if you don't like country music that much, just having the opportunity is worth it itself.
Yeah, that's the reason why going to this camp kind of opened up my eyes to country music. I wasn't as much of a fan of country music, when I was younger, but once I started going to Nashville and, you know, being able to be part of the recording process and see the
Yes.
studios and having that whole experience, it made me really appreciate more, country music. Although, I'm not a big fan of like the big twangy
Yeah.
country kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I still can appreciate like Lady Antebellum,
I love them.
a Little Big Town,
Yeah.
um, groups like that. Yeah, there's country is a great genre of music for sure.
I would guess that even if you weren't a fan of country music, getting to spend some time and going through the process, hearing what makes a country artist passionate about singing about what they are singing about,
Yeah.
or the things that they find fun,
Yeah.
that would be pretty infectious, and it would be, I would be a bit surprised if you may not be a country fan when you go in, but you're going to come out at least a little bit of a country fan.
Yes, that's true. And what's really cool about Nashville is Nashville has rock and roll, it has southern, it has gospel, it has all of that just in downtown. And I remember we were having a tough afternoon because we had some issues with different things going on, and we went out for a walk, and this music artist was walking right past us. And we're like, there goes so and so. And he turned around and he came up, he's like, hey guys, how y'all doing? It's like, we're good. We're here for the ACM camp. It's like, aha. I knew there was something going on here.
Mhm.
Yep.
But yeah, that camp, but I tell you, make sure you're ready for it because it is sundown to
Fast-paced.
sunrise.
Very
Sundown to sunrise,
fast-paced.
you better be ready.
Yep, it's
Better have your wits about you, especially in Nashville, because Nashville knows how to party.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Especially-
yep.
yeah.
well, I met you, Josh. I mean, you and I became friends is through Camp Blue Skies,
Yes.
which is a camp. Yeah, it's just a camp for adults with Williams syndrome, based out of North Carolina, but they have camps in North Carolina and in Georgia. And the one of the weeks down in Georgia is just a week for adults with Williams syndrome, and it is super, super fun. And in fact, Josh and I just got back from that just not more than a week ago. What is it about spending a week with others with Williams syndrome that is really special, and why you love it and keep coming back?
It's almost like the conventions, pretty much.
Yeah.
Some of these people you don't see for years.
Yeah.
You build these relationships, you build these friendships with people, and then they may not come back to camp the next year. So you have a whole year without seeing these people.
Right.
So when you're surrounded by 71, 71 adults with Williams syndrome who you probably never met or never seen before, it gives us people who have been before an opportunity to like give ourselves to them. You know what I mean? Like share what we have experienced at camp so that others can also experience also. And it gets me emotional every time I arrive because you don't know who's coming. You don't
Right.
know who's going to be at camp unless they tell you. And when you see people you haven't seen for like 4 or 5 years, it just, it's mind blowing. Like Randy here, I haven't seen him in person in a long time, since probably Boston.
Yeah.
So if I were to see him like now, I would totally freak out because I'm like, I haven't seen him since a long time ago, and it's because he was in a can-do band at that time.
Yeah. Yep.
And
funny enough, I'm wearing the Can You Band sweatshirt.
yes, I love those guys, and it's just a place where you're not told how to be yourself. You can fully come yourself, express yourself, have fun, be giggly, be, not obnoxious. I'm going to say obnoxious, but have that obnoxious spirit of fun and excitement
Yeah.
and just like Nashville, it's a very structured camp. It's like a schedule. You're on it, on it, on it.
And since next year isn't a convention year, I'm probably going to look into coming to the camps because I haven't been to any camp in a long time. I was a counselor at the camp in Nashville.
Like you said, when you may not see people for years, one of the things that I picked up on right away at camp is, for those of you who have done camp before, and again, it's like convention, how quickly you just fall right back into it.
No, even though you may have not seen each other for a long period of time, it feels like you just saw each other yesterday.
Exactly. You're right, bro. Yes. Huh.
Yeah.
It's like seeing you on here is like I saw you the other day. Like, come on now.
And Josh, you alluded to the 71 people. This was the largest. This one that we just got back from was the largest camp that Camp Blue Skies has ever had. And there was the line of people, because that opening night they brought up like all the new campers so that we could all applaud for them and welcome them. The amount of new campers this year was enormous, and it takes a lot of bravery to say, okay, yeah, I want to try this camp. I want to go spend a week away from home, away from all of the things that I know and I'm comfortable with, and I am going to spend a week of pushing myself outside of my comfort zone with people I maybe don't even know.
Yeah.
And that to me is one of the most exciting things about camp. You, at some point, Josh, you were a first-time camper. What do you remember? What do you remember about like the first time you attended camp by yourself?
Being part of the first group that has gone to Georgia for Camp Blue Skies, it was very surreal. It was a very surreal moment. They were very welcoming, had different people in charge. So Mr. Sessler was there, but Jim was just an instructor.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So he was not in charge of anything.
Yeah.
He was like the balance your body instructor at the time.
Yeah, he was one of the volunteer programmers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he took over a couple years later, and let me tell you, that camp is just I can't tell you which one I like better because I love them both for different reasons.
Well, absolutely.
But I feel like where I'm most comfortable, I would say, is at Camp Blue Skies, and I'll tell you why. Because I am very used to going year by year by year. But when you take a couple years off in Nashville and you don't have that get up, like the giddy up, get going type of deal, it really makes you tired out.
Yeah.
Really quickly, because I remember this past time that I went and I was feeling horrible after camp and just feeling so tired and exhausted. And, it's a very challenging, but I thank God every day for these opportunities because I don't take nothing for granted.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the Vanderbilt camp is that's a working camp. You're
Yes,
it is.
Camp Blue Skies is a little bit more laid back, and we're here to it's obviously a much more fun-oriented, fun-based. The goal of Camp Blue Skies really is to just hopefully you'll try something you've never tried before.
Yes.
And you'll leave a better, more experienced person. Josh is one of the he's a very pivotal person at camp. A lot of people look to you. I looked to you. I mean, last year when it was my first camp, you have a natural leadership quality to you, which is wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about what does that mean to you? I mean, you know that people are looking to you, right? You know that people see you and are like, well, what's Josh doing? Or what does Josh have to say about whatever's going on or this activity? Do you feel that? Do you recognize that? And B, what is that? How does that make you feel when you know that, you're kind of one of the leaders of the camp?
I want to start off by saying I'm very I'm very thankful for those words you said. Um, when it was in my younger years, I was not a leader.
Mm.
I was not a leader. I was more of a follower, follow what the other person's doing. And before my grandmother passed away, I promised her that I would become a leader and become more of a man. So yes, I love the acknowledgement. I love when people ask me questions, say, you know what, I look up to you because you're a leader. I I don't, I in church we learn not to be boastful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be boastful, like, be about it, but I feel the love. I feel gracious for the opportunity. And um, I also wanted to become a leader because my mom was a leader in the Air Force for over 20 years. And I just wanted to share that, um, share that with y'all. And
I want to go back and just also clarify that, when I say that Josh is a leader, he isn't like strutting around big man on campus. He's not like a Regina George. He's not, you get, you don't, that's my chair, that's my table. You don't say, no, Josh,
No.
and you're a leader because you are willing to try things. That's also
Right.
a big thing. It's you have an adventurous side to you. But what I notice is you are always very gracious with your encouragement to others this may be their first time. You're never like pushing, you never push them. You're not like, come on, you can do it. Blah, blah, blah. It's you got this, you got this.
Yeah.
And that's why you're a leader, is because you lead with such grace. And that's it's so much fun. Like my son is almost 13. Jen's daughter is 13. Like, what would you tell them about why going to camp and having these experiences? Why do you think that's important? And what do you think you've gotten? Like, how has it shaped you?
honestly, I've always learned that if you don't take an opportunity that is given to you, you may miss opportunities and that opportunity to be a light to somebody or to be there for somebody. There's been times where I've had opportunities come up and I'm either sick or not feeling well, or, and it's tough when you miss opportunities. But when you do have these opportunities and you go for them, what I would say to them, especially being 13, is don't 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 keep yourself from these opportunities, because these opportunities are not forever.
Right.
These opportunities are I thought Nashville was going to be a once in a lifetime thing. Boy, was I wrong.
Right.
I was totally wrong. And it's okay to have fears. It's okay to face your fears. It's okay to take opportunities, because you never know who you're going to meet, who may show up at your camp and surprise you,
Right.
and I always say, tell them, go for the opportunities, and if they have to miss out an opportunity, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's part of life.
Yeah.
But I also, to the parents, I'm talking to you parents,
Yeah.
please do not keep those kids away from their opportunities. I understand all about keeping them safe, keeping them, safe and all that, and being protective. But sometimes it's okay to let them be free for a little while and enjoy themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like there's some, not calling anybody out, but there's some parents out there who might be way too protective and not let them go to these camps.
I was for a long time. I mean, I didn't realize I was.
Yeah.
But it really, really hasn't been, but for the last few years that I realized, oh, what am I so afraid of? He's can handle himself.
Hmm.
Let's go, let's
Yeah.
give this a go, and I can step back. I don't need to be, and that's my own insecurities. So,
To the parents, if you continue to do that, it's not gonna give your child a space to be free, to be like out of the worries and troubles that go on at home, troubles that goes on in their lives. Maybe they're having a rough time in school and they need an outlet to express themselves. Like for me, when I was in school, I had very tough days in school. I was
Yeah.
severely bullied. I I was bullied all the time, but these opportunities makes you forget those things for a while.
Yeah.
So please, parents, I'm pleading to you, parents
mm-hmm.
and caregivers, parents, caregivers, grandparents, whoever you are. Please let your kids have the opportunities that they work hard for, and let them be free.
Love it, love it,
Yes,
Brandon.
sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Josh, can't thank you enough for coming on today. Really I appreciate you as a guest. I appreciate you as a person.
Well, thank y'all for inviting me. Yeah.
All right. Well, hello, Emma. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here. So for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do for the WSA?
Sure. So my name is Emma Thomas. I am so lucky to currently serve as the Whispering Trails Camp Programs Camp Director. I think this will be my 10th summer at camp. I also support programming for convention. I ran the teen program for many years, and this year I'm supporting programming for all the programs. So I'm excited to be helping with planning that too. It's a busy time right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got involved with the Williams Syndrome Association about 10 years ago when convention was coming to Columbus, Ohio. That's where I live. Through a family that has an adult daughter with Williams syndrome, and the rest is history, I guess.
That's awesome.
10 years, and here you are 10 years later. So, Emma, what do you do? Like, tell us a little bit more about how you got on this journey.
Yeah, so when I was really young, I was a mommy's helper for a family that had multiple children with special needs. And I learned how to be a really great peer, a really great just friend, right? And so when I went to middle school, I had some friends who happened to have special needs in some of my classes, and I was a good peer, I was a good friend. And so I got invited to help in their classroom during my study halls and stuff. I got more involved with Special Olympics. I started hanging out with a lot of those, I would say now some of my closest friends at home and doing some caregiving. And then I did go to college to become an intervention specialist. So I serve individuals with low incidence or multiple disabilities, generally just higher support needs. I've taught high school and middle school, and now I teach a kindergarten first grade class for individuals with low incidence disabilities or autism.
Okay, yeah. What does low incidence disabilities mean?
It just means not happening as frequently. So other people might say multiple disabilities or severe or profound disabilities. I just think it's nicer language. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. It's good for complex needs. Okay, so these are kiddos that are not necessarily going to the general, in your area, not going to the gen ed classroom.
Yeah, so most of my students have higher support needs and do best in a small group classroom, and we can just provide some better, maybe not better, but some supports that are harder to integrate into a general education classroom. Though I do,
So
though
did
I
you-
do think that inclusion is the best model.
Yes.
I know you do. I know you do. We've been following close after you. So we went to for our first convention was Columbus, and then pretty shortly thereafter, Stella started going to camp, and you were there. So you've always been a part of our Williams syndrome journey. So did Williams syndrome come first, or did your work in like special education come first, or did they happen at the same time?
I don't know. So the individual that I know with Williams syndrome, I met in middle school.
Oh.
And I attended my first camp when I was the summer between my junior and senior year of college. Yeah,
my
so when
gosh.
convention was coming to Columbus, her parents told me that they put me on a committee. And I needed to go to a meeting.
Oh my gosh.
We're
That's
very,
wonderful.
very close family friends. So
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
so what people may not know is that I have a Stella. Here she is right here.
Hello.
Hello. And what do you want to tell everybody about Emma? What does Emma have?
Stella.
She is Stella who?
Stella the dog.
Stella the dog. So we
Mom.
could at any moment in this podcast be yelling Stella, and we don't know which one it is. It's, I think, our first ever time that we've had two Stellas on the podcast. This is, I think, a great opportunity for us to talk about Whispering Trails and all the stuff there. Like, a lot of people don't know about camp, and I'm surprised because it's like the most amazing thing for us.
yeah, I mean, every time I'm at convention, I talk about camp and people don't know. I'm like, so yeah,
Right.
I've experienced that too. It's surprising. Yeah, at Whispering Trails, we offer 2 camp programs. They happen the same week. That started last summer when we moved to Camp Twin Lakes because we got 1 week there. And it's a beautiful facility. Everything's new as of last summer. We were, and I think we'll be again this summer, their last program of the summer. So their staff really nicely kind of shifted to fit our programming, because it is really different than some of the other camps that they're able to serve there. So like I was saying, we run 2 camps simultaneously. Our first camp is for 6 to 12-year-olds, and they come with a parent or a guardian, sometimes a caregiver. And we're offering an experience that I hope is just as much for the camper as it is for the parent. And Jen and Stella have come to this camp for many years, so maybe they can agree that that's true. But our campers and their parents.
It's 100% true. Like, I don't know who has more fun, my kid or myself. It is such a great experience. By far and away, it's like out of all the things we do, I love convention and I love the walks, but camp is a much more intimate experience. I think, especially like you were saying, if you can get in on the age range where you're coming with your kiddo, it's really fun. I also never had been to camp before, like growing up in my personal life. And so like sleeping in a bunk bed with like a bunch of people in a cabin. Back in the day, it used to be a very rustic cabin, much nicer now at this new facility. But that was like all first time stuff for me.
Hey, Mom.
And you love camp too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so our 6 to 12-year-old camp, we try to provide resources and experts to parents. Last year, we were able to have Robin come and do a presentation with me on literacy, and we were able to offer some one-on-one IEP consultation time. We're hoping to expand some of that this summer. So talking to different people who can come in and just like do a talk, or having maybe a broader range of therapists and certified professionals camp, just to meet a variety of needs. But also for our campers, they often get to experience some firsts. I know we have those therapists and that certified staff that I was talking about that offer programming to the campers that is specially designed for individuals with Williams syndrome. And during our training for both camps, we spent a lot of time talking about what Williams syndrome can be and what it can look like. Obviously, we know that no person with Williams syndrome looks like another person with Williams syndrome. So we try to just prepare our staff to support everyone's unique needs and meet each person where they are, which kind of leads me into teen camp. So our teen campers come by themselves. They stay in a cabin with similar aged peers and counselors, and they do some activities with their cabin, like going to the pool, going to the rock wall, going to the barn, which I know is another favorite. Last summer, they have like a petting farm and garden, and it was really cool. And so our teen campers, they do that kind of stuff with their cabin, but then they have an individualized schedule based on their preferences and skills and kind of like unique interests, I guess. And so some of our campers like to take small group music making lessons is maybe the best word to use. We call those workshops. And so our campers work with someone who has been taught how to facilitate things like improvisation, songwriting, composition. We also have band classes and choir classes and musical theater classes and groups that do drama and skits and comedy. We have rec, which is just like camp gym class games that you might think of, like capture the flag or bucket over your head races, which is really fun when it's hot. Drip drip drop is another fun favorite. I'm sure I missed some, but so really individualized days.
Yeah, it's a good overview. So like Stella has, so now I'm gonna have to say like my Stella instead of Stella dog, just so we make sure that we know. Stella the person, she's 13, so this year, the summer will be her first year at teen camp. So our experience has always been that therapeutic camp. So am I right in saying that like so that those younger, so it's 6 to 12 is basically like the therapeutic class, okay, or camp. So those are sessions that are designed to give like a camp experience, but there's also like some strategic therapy mixed in, right? Where teen camp is, teen camp more like the traditional camp experience.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's just there's a heavy dose on creativity and things like that. And we do like our staff is obviously trained, like I was saying, in how to support our campers, and we try to just incorporate, you know, all those classes culminate in a big show at the end of the week, a variety show.
For the teen campers, right?
It's a more traditional camp experience for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea how it's going to go this year, but that is one of the things. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. That's one of the things that I hear a lot when I talk about camp with families is they're like, well, how do I know if my kid is ready for camp, right? Like,
I think I have one of my favorite things about this role that I got to do last summer and I'm doing this year is responding to emails and like getting on the phone to talk to these first-time parents and getting to have those conversations and talk through what our program looks like. So I think like what I would first say is our counselors are ready to support what your individual needs. And we meet everyone where they are, and that is our goal. We try to use least restrictive prompting. So a question I get a lot is, my child is not going to be able to put their hair in a ponytail. Will someone do that for them? Well, yeah, if they need that, but they have to prove to us they need that. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to talk them through it. We're going to try to get them to do it a couple different ways. We might help them a little bit. And then, yeah, we'll do it. But after we've tried, right? One of the things that we worked really hard to do, there's nobody that isn't a good fit for our camp, right? If you have Williams syndrome, this is the place for you to be.
Camp is for everyone. It really is. Like, if you have Williams syndrome, like, this is a place where this is a safe place. If you need those supports, you can have them. Or
yeah, and I would just say, like, all my background is in working with individuals with more complex needs. So last year when we got some applications for some needs that we maybe weren't used to seeing in the past. We had a conversation. Can we support these campers and make sure they're having a great experience and they are successful? We decided we could, and we did. I mean, last year we had campers that used AAC devices or augmentative and alternative communication devices. That's like the pictures, and you choose, and your device speaks for you.
I would love for you to touch on the counselors. So you guys have done for years a fantastic job of getting people who are skilled to support individuals with Williams syndrome at camp. And I always love it because it seems like the same folks. You see a lot of new faces, but you see a lot of the same faces year after year. And so I'd love for you to just talk about your counselor program.
I guess that's what camp is, right? You get to be your truest, most authentic version of yourself. And that goes for our campers. You know, we describe camp as this place where our campers are not other. They are the majority. And that's one of the things that makes camp so special. And what makes our staff so special is that they know our campers are not other.
That's what Joshua was talking about earlier, and he was explaining how, you know, camp was so great because you could just be free, and you know, and it was also talking about the parental side of like giving your kid a chance to have opportunities and to not miss out on opportunities to go to camps like this. Yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's one of the things that our counselors love. They get to be their truest self. Our campers get to be their truest selves. They're not others at camp. Our campers can, and we find a way to make sure that they can. Whether it's learn ukulele or, you know, take that first step on the rock wall, we figured out. But while we're talking about staffing, if I can do a little plug, we've worked really hard. Staff applications are open. Please apply. If you're interested, we're hiring junior counselors. So these are volunteer counselors who are 14 years or older and love someone with Williams syndrome. Counselors in training are individuals with Williams syndrome who would like to be a counselor at camp and probably went to camp and want to make that meaningful experience possible for other people. If you are applying to be a counselor in training, you need to have not come to camp the past 2 years, just so you have some time and space, you know, to have matured a little bit. We are hiring volunteer counselors for both of our programs, so our little kids and our teens, and counselors and therapists and facilitators for both programs. So please apply. We are diligently growing and kind of revamping our counselor and training program to make it a really meaningful job coaching experience, Jen, which I know you'll appreciate.
I do appreciate that. And I just love the thought, Emma, you might have mentioned it before, or you said it before, like, you know, every year our kids are grabbing skills, right? Like maybe they couldn't do something the first year, but the next year they do. And, you know, I'm going to send Stella to teen camp, and it's like, I hope she can shower independently, and I'm sure she will. She's going to like do all of those things, right? Because like there is something powerful about that environment of being with your peers, being with people who really understand and can support you. I don't know if you mentioned it when we were talking about counselors, but a lot of counselors like do have experience working with people with Williams syndrome. They're siblings of individuals. They're people who work in the education field and know somebody who has Williams syndrome. And so it's not like we're throwing our kids into environments with people who have never worked with somebody with a disability. This is a highly supportive environment. And, you know, that supportive environment really allows our kids to thrive and do things that maybe they've like never reached for in the past.
Yeah, and Jen, to your point, I think last year our staffing ratio was nearly 2 campers to 1 staff. It was very close to that. For teen camp, almost definitely, I think it was that low. Almost all of our counselors are siblings or close family or friend to a person with Williams syndrome or a parent. So we do have parents that come and volunteer as counselors. You keep mentioning this transition to teen camp. So I did want to say we've been doing, so I've led and am planning to lead a few more transition to teen camp calls with this cohort of parents, which both Jen and Joel have joined.
Yes.
And we are kind of talking about some of the things that, you know, we'll support their campers with and what it will look like. And, you know, all these parents are worried. We had many first-time parents last year that were worried, and like, I get that. And all the parents will text me or call me or email me, and it's fine. That's part of it. And we try to send out like messages, what's going on at camp. I think another thing to mention, Jen, is therapy camp parents are there on site, but our teen parents oftentimes come at night. And so in the evenings, we do a lot of different activities. A lot of times, the first night we'll do like a staff talent show. There will be a big dance. There will be camper talent shows, and parents are welcome to come in the evening and attend those things and kind of check on their camper, or guardians too. Last year we had parents who both wanted to come with their therapy camper, so one of them chose to volunteer, and that worked out great. I know we also have a parent of a teen camper who did last summer and is planning again this summer to be at therapy camp.
I know we talked a little bit about like littles, but like teen camp, there's a lot of question marks about that, right? Like people are like, not only the independent stuff, right? But like, how do you deal with behaviors? How do you deal with puberty, right? I lead a puberty call.
Jen, always puberty.
Can you just tell people like how you handle that kind of stuff for teens? Like, be great.
First I want to say, I think also, Jen, part of what makes the therapy camp experience so special is like the parents kind of create like this cohort, right?
Yes,
you do. I mean, yeah, and you connect outside of camp. We have families that leave camp and go on vacation together, and you know, it does become a network. Yeah. So teen camp, you know, you are not there, and I can like if at therapy camp, if Stella were to be having a major problem, I would call Jen if she wasn't nearby, and Jen could come. Obviously, I would also just handle it if I needed to, if Jen was unavailable, but I could, she's there, you know, or 5 minutes away if you run off to get a coffee or something, you know. So teen camp, it does look a little bit different. And so I try to make myself readily available. One of my favorite things, I might have already said this, is I love talking to potential new parents and talking about camp. It's one of my favorite things that I get to do. So if you have questions, I'm sure you guys are going to link my contact or whatever. And so happy to talk to you and convince you to come to camp. But yeah, so our camp does have a behavior management plan. We're required to have that, and we do follow it. So if a individual is having a hard time, there will be a counseling session between them and the counselor where the specific behavior is addressed and clear expectations are given. If you do this again, this is what will happen. And in the second incident, I would be brought in. And in that situation, we would be talking really clearly about what needs to happen. It's possible they might spend some time with me to just kind of get re-regulated or be ready to join their peers. And then if it were to happen again, I'm probably calling their parents. We might be discussing some type of more significant consequence. And obviously, worst case scenario, this has never happened in my time at camp. If something truly inappropriate or unsafe happened, we could call a parent to come pick up their camper, but I don't know a time where that hasn't happened. I can tell you last summer, I recall maybe twice being involved in a situation. Our counselors, one of the things that we spend a lot of time on in training is preventing any problematic behavior. So how to give great feedback all the time, that we are doing what we are supposed to do, catching anything inappropriate pretty quickly and giving, this is what we're going to do. Kind of that approach quickly is really effective. And there's so much, because of the environment, some might call it a bubble, we're able to kind of we're all on the same page. We're all modeling the same expectations. We are all treating everybody a certain way. And so that's luckily, it's kind of just what happens because we're in this bubble together where I mean, Jen, you can describe it. It's just this bubble of happiness. And yes, there's drama with the teenagers. They're teenagers. I mean, right? Our counselor, part of our counselor's job is to just be proactive and preventative. So if we notice things, and every night we have staff meetings. So if we notice, oh, these two campers are starting to egg each other on, now our whole staff knows, and the next day they're just going to be aware of that and maybe able to interfere. Interfere is not the word I'm looking for. Intervene before anything were to happen the next day. And the puberty question, Jen, do you have specific questions? I know.
Well, I just know it's like, my teen is going to be unleashed with all these other teens and they're all in puberty, and like, how do we maintain boundaries and safe hands and all of that stuff? So I thought maybe you could, you don't have to get into detail, but like, how do you create that, respect that, again, like you're giving them freedom with boundaries, right? Tell us about how that looks.
Yeah, so our goal is for all of our campers to be autonomous and independent. So we want them to be able to get help and receive help as they need it and when they need it. We want them to be able to do the things that they can do. But with independence and freedom comes very clear expectations, right? Very clear expectations. And so the first night, there is a code of conduct that everyone signs. And those rules are reviewed. We call it the camper model.
There is always a counselor, within kind of, arm's reach. They're staying in cabins where they have a counselor present. There is a structure to the day. If you're seeing any, behaviors that are questionable, right? Like that you guys are going through that camper code of conduct. You're trying to be proactive in anticipating if you are seeing any issues, because sometimes with like teens there can be drama, right? And there's always drama with typical teens as well. So just making sure that a high level of communication happening, and that with that communication there's also a high level of visibility. So again, like, we're allowing our Williams syndrome individuals to have more independence, but in a very safe environment where we're setting them up for success. I think that is the absolute value add with camp.
And very clear expectations too, which is what supports the success of it. Also, counselors are not allowed to be alone with a camper. There always needs to be 3 people in a group, and that's just to protect everyone's safety, and well-being.
Yeah.
So, Emma, why don't you tell us about how to register, where to go for a camp, and all the details involving that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're hopeful that registration will go live in the next week or so for camp. You can find that link on the WSA website on the camps page. That link is williams-syndrome.org/camps. And it is kind of in the middle of the page. We do offer scholarships, and so that link is within the application. It'll take you to an outside questionnaire that you'll fill out. Scholarship applications will close on May 31st, and the decisions will be announced on June 14th. I'm really excited to say last year, every person who applied for a scholarship was awarded their scholarship. So we didn't turn anyone away last year.
So the $750 for a camper to come for the time period of camp, that includes all of their meals. Obviously it does not include airfare or transportation, right, to camp. For those therapy campers, is the cost the same if they're bringing a parent?
Yeah, that's for both the parent and the camper for therapy camp as well.
Okay, so it's $750 for a teen, or it's $750 for a parent and their 6 to 12-year-old age.
Yeah, everybody gets a cool camp shirt. This summer's theme is fun in the sun, a little A little teaser? What is the word I'm looking for?
Teaser, spoiler,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Greg?
Yeah, our theme this summer is Fun in the Sun. Looking forward to the music that we'll get to do for that theme. It's exciting. I don't know if that news has been shared out to the camp team.
It is now.
Yeah, so Fun in the Sun. Oh yeah,
Well, so
and,
for people who-
Joel this summer is planning on being a facilitator for Team Camp.
Oh my-
Yeah,
I love it. Look at the nuggets that we're dropping for everybody. Everybody's going to have
Yeah,
to listen to the
that
camp
is a good teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. So for those who are interested, camp registration is going to come out like very soon. If you have
before April
questions
1st.
before April 1st, if you have questions about camp, you need to talk to Emma. No question is too big or too obscure or too whatever. Like, she's heard it all. Your camper will be great. They are in this is the best place for them. Like I said, we can't talk enough good things about camp. It's just like we do all the Williams syndrome things, and camp just is so special, and we look forward to it every year.
Yeah,
Mom camp,
it's a great opportunity for new people too who haven't come.
Yes.
Yes, opportunity is always important. Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 opportunities, right? Like therapy camp if your kiddo's under 12, teen camp if your kid has never been to camp before and they are a teen, still like teen camp is a great option for them. If your person has aged out of that, maybe a counselor and a training program would be a great fit for them. Maybe our Blue Skies camp, which is just wrapped, but you could look out for next year. There's definitely a host of options to meet our kiddos where they're at. And I think that's the most important thing to take away from our discussion today.
This has been the Starry-Eyed Podcast, presented by the Williams Syndrome Association. The show is hosted by Jennifer Keaton and Brendan Lemieux, and produced by me, Joel Listman. Theme song by Tommy Barbarella and Mariella Elm. Got a question for the show? Email us at podcast@williams-syndrome.org or message us at the Starry-Eyed Podcast page on Facebook. Video version of the podcast available on the Williams Syndrome Association channel on YouTube or on Facebook. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or comment on the video version, and maybe it will be featured on a future episode. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Starry-Eyed Podcast wherever you get your podcast delights.